Hello, everyone. Hope everybody's having a good time at the virtual annual meeting for Riverkeeper. My name is Ken Jones, and I'm the project manager of the Apalachicola River Slough Restoration Project. So let me jump over to my presentation, and I'll give you a little update on an overview of the project and an update of where we are as we're moving through our project goals and objectives here. Hold on a second. So I think you all can see my screen now. The Apalachicola River Slough Restoration Project. It was actually named Phase 1 by the National Wildlife Federation, who's our grantor on this project, because they see this as a potential for additional projects beyond the one that we're doing right now. I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing and our goals and objectives and our progress. So the goals of the restoration project are to clean up 3 sloughs. Basically, these sloughs have been filled with sand, and since Hurricane Michael, vegetative debris, they've clogged these sloughs and keep water from flowing through the Apalachicola River, in this case the Chipola River, into the forested floodplain. 2 of our project areas are Spider's Cut and Douglas Slough, which are about 27 miles up the Apalachicola River. And these sloughs feed about 1,700 acres of forested swamplands. And because these sloughs are filled with sand, the waters are cut off from these lower swamp areas, especially during low flow periods. So these are the 2 up the river in the mid reach of the Apalachicola. And the 3rd slough is East River. And East River forks off of the Apalachicola River about 13 miles above where the Apalachicola feeds into the bay. And if you follow the East River all the way down, you'll see that it empties into the northern portions of East Bay, which is considered some of the most valuable nursery grounds for the Apalachicola Bay system. And that red area that's on the map is the area that we're going to be dredging for in the East River system. So we got the grant in late spring of this year. The river levels were high, and frankly, it's hot working in the swamp in the middle of summer. We finally kicked off our project in August, where we had our team gather for the first time to get together as a group and see the project. We had scheduled September as as our first major data collection period. And if you see this graph down at the bottom, Hurricane Sally came in the middle of the month and kind of wiped that out as the river jumped from a little over 10,000 CFS to over 70,000 CFS flood. So that postponed us for the month of September. So the first phases of the project are data collection. If we're going to excavate a bunch of sand and material out of these sloughs, we have to measure how much material is in them to cut out. We do sediment coring to document what the sediments are and start to look at where they're coming from. We'll be doing forest transects where we look at the change in the structure of the forest, both before we do the work and after we do the work. We've set in well points for testing the water levels within the swamp itself. And we put in data collection stations for measuring standard water quality information, water height, dissolved oxygen, pH, temperature, and things like that. The next phase we'll be doing is the engineering and permitting as we get ready to go to construction. And so from the surveys that we're doing right now, we'll develop conceptual plans. We've already started our environmental assessments, and we have a large hydrodynamic modeling process that'll go through in the East River system itself. Like I said, we were washed out in September, but in October and November, we've done a huge amount of work. The picture on the left is all the bathymetry work for Spider's Cut. This was about a month's worth of field work that was done by the team. In that period, researchers from the University of Florida were doing sediment cores to characterize the sediments themselves, and forest transects across the swamp to start looking at just the structure of the forest itself. This is the Spider's Cut area. This is about a 6,000 foot long section that we'll be doing excavation in Spider's Cut. Douglas Slough is a smaller system off the Apalachicola, and it's about 2,000 feet that we'll be doing a lot of work on. Here you see some pictures of the Franklin's Promise, the Conservation Corps that helped cut lines so we could do the surveys. And the bottom picture is our team during our kickoff meetings. The picture on the right is the sandbar that's blocking Douglas Slough. The willow trees have volunteered and have established themselves there. And part of our project will be to dig this sand out and reconnect the Douglas Slough with the Apalachicola River. And then down in East River, we started our surveys. The top picture there is all the survey points that we've collected. The panoramic view is a drone shot that we took while we were out there. And you can see the East River as it flows through the swamp down towards the bay. And the bottom left picture is Dan, Tosmeyer, and myself, typical mode. I'm telling Dan where to go and Dan's going where he wants to go. So if you know Dan, that's we always have a good time out in the field together. So all the data collection that we were doing right now is to establish the grades and basically the amount of material that we're going to have to dig out. Part of the permitting process and also looking at success criteria are the biological assessments. This picture down in the bottom is Michael Gangloff, a researcher from Appalachian State, who's our mussel expert. He loves swimming around in murky water, grubbing around, feeling for mussels. We found out later, a little farther downstream of where he's swimming right now, is an 11-foot alligator lives. And so luckily he didn't know that at the time. He ran out of the East River system after we came across 5 alligators that were watching him pretty closely in there. The picture on the right are some of the cypress swamp, the cypress and the tupelo down in the bottom of the cypress swamp. And these folks from the University of Florida are setting up the transects before looking at the forested floodplain down the line. And in Douglas Slough, one of the things that we found out pretty early on in the process is that a lot of what's holding the sediments in place is the downfall from Hurricane Michael. This has been just a recurring problem we've had since we started this project. It wasn't envisioned we'd have this much difficulty as we started our work, but we wrote the grant before Michael, and now we're dealing with the aftermath of that. And just like there was trees everywhere after the hurricane, the forest doesn't get off easy when you get that kind of wind systems coming through there. Part of what we'll do in Douglas is looking at removing just the wood in this section. There's a lot of deep areas and there's a lot of mussels that are in the Douglas Slough area. And we think we can do a lot of what we were hoping to just by cleaning out the debris that's in this slough itself. And East River, one of the things that we have to show is that all this work is going to be productive. Um, a lot of the maps that are available for us to use in the East River in the distributary systems are not very good. Down in the bottom right, you'll see a picture from the NOAA satellite imagery. The blue line is what they say the depth of East River is, and the brown line is what we actually measured. So we spent a lot of time in August and September documenting the geometry of the whole distributary system within at the bottom of the system. That will be used in conjunction with the Apalachicola Bay Systems Initiative model, and we're helping them get data, and they're helping us run the model for this section to look at pre and post conditions um, about how much flow will be going down the East River and ultimately into the upper portions of East Bay, and how that is going to benefit the system itself. One of our goals in the grant was that we wanted to make sure that we put money back into the local community. We worked with a number of different local contractors and Franklin's Promise, which is part of the Conservation Corps, where they hire young people and teach them natural resource work techniques. They do a lot of cutting line, clearing trails for fire breaks and things like that. So they were a natural for us to help us cut line for our surveys. Getting down the sloughs with boats to be able to do our survey work is difficult. You can see the size of logs that we're having to deal with and the amount of debris. And this work is just cutting ourselves a path to get down the sloughs to be able to collect the data that we need to do the work itself. So we're doing 3 sloughs in this system as kind of a phase 1 approach. A lot of people think that this is very important. There's about 20 slough systems within the lower Apalachicola. Since we've started this project, I've talked to commissioners from both Liberty and Calhoun County that are very interested in sloughs in their area and how they can look to restore their sloughs in a similar manner, both for recreation and natural resource purposes. This is obviously one of the major areas of the tupelo tree, and the devastation of the tupelo tree due to low flows in the Apalachicola is very important as it relates to the hunting industry. So we're starting to get some people interested in what we're doing and very proactive about trying to expand this project beyond what we're doing here. So we're looking forward to a lot of good results to demonstrate the value of the work we're doing in the 3 sloughs that we're working in. So working out in the field is wet and long days, but you know, there's always the upside. Going home down the Apalachicola River after 10 hours in the wading around in the swamp. This tree down on the lower left is one of the healthiest, largest cypress trees I think I've ever seen. That was down in the bottom of spiders, and that picture in the upper left is one of the arms of the distributary system in East River. It's just a beautiful area. It's remote. You wouldn't know it was what was back there unless you were able to hike back in there and canoe back in there. And it's been a pleasure and a thrill to be able to do the work that we've been able to do over the last couple of months. We're hoping to go through the permitting process in the spring and start looking at construction next year, where we'll excavate spiders Douglas, and East River. So I hope you enjoyed the talk. I appreciate being able to talk with you today, and have fun for the rest of the rest of your virtual meeting. And thank you.